we are finally going to go over the Patriot 1500 solar generator. Now you may be asking why the 1500 and not the 1800. And the reason is because they're incredibly expensive. And I got my hands on a 1500 for a little bit less price. Obviously, 4Patriots really didn't have any interest in sending me a unit because I've never really quite said anything nice about it. If you go on my website, poweredportablesolar.com, and you look at my articles on the Patriot units, you'll see that I'm generally not in favor. Actually, I'm not generally. I'm never in favor of these. These are bottom of the barrel. So in this video, I'm going to review specifically why I think that is and show you firsthand how this Patriot 1500 actually performs and what differences it has between the 1500 and the 1800, the newest model. So stick around, you won't want to miss this. Okay, well, I first want to start off with the specs on this unit. Now, the 1500 is the predecessor to the current 1800. And tell you what, 4Patriots, they know how to market. One of the biggest questions I get in my email inbox is, why don't I recommend the 4Patriots 1800 or 1500 solar generator? And there's a number of reasons, but their Facebook advertising, I don't know if they do an Instagram, Google, they are everywhere. Their marketing is amazing. However, a number of times I've called to clarify some information on these units, and the technical people at 4Patriots, not the customer service. So I'd call, have a few questions, get a hold of someone at customer service, and then ask some questions, for example, on the total watt hours of the battery, and they can't tell me. They can tell me it's an 1800 watt inverter, it can run this, that, and the other, but they can't tell me how many watt hours the battery is. So then I get transferred over to the technical staff, and they cannot tell me. I went through 3 different people all the way up to the manager guy, and he didn't know. Now that is alarming, because if they don't even know just how big the battery is, then I don't really want to know what else they put into this. And these are the technical guys. Now, I'm being really mean on 4Patriots, and I apologize. It's just being honest. You know, it's really not a great unit. But I want to get into the specifics of what's the difference between the 1800 and the 1500. And I'll put the specs up right over here. The 1800 it's like a 768 watt hour battery when you read the user manual. However, you can only use 690 watt hours off of it if you're using the AC ports. And really that just makes it confusing when comparing this unit to other units. So call it a 768 watt hour battery if you want, but 90% or more people, I would say even more like 95% of people that I talk with are using AC power off of their solar generators. This applies to all solar generators, okay? And so AC power is what I need to be able to draw from. 690 watt hours is the available watt hours for that. Now for the Patriot 1500, it only had 500 watt hours usable. They're both lithium iron phosphate or LiFePO4, and that means they're going to have many, many cycles. The 1500 is rated to 2000 cycles, and the 1800 is rated to 2500 cycles. Now this one has a 1500 watt inverter, it's pure sine wave, and the Patriot 1800 has an 1800 watt pure sine wave inverter. One thing that is interesting though is that on the Patriot 1500, it has a 3000 watt surge on the inverter, but the Patriot 1800 only has a 3048 watt surge, so almost no difference in surge capability there. Now the 1500 does have a PWM charge controller, which is not great, and the Patriot 1800 does have an MPPT. And this unit is only capable of doing 150 watts input through the 12 volt 15 amp port, whereas the Patriot 1800 is capable of doing 240 watts in through the solar charge controller. They both use Anderson power pole connectors, and this one weighs about 38 pounds, and the Patriot 1800 weighs about 46 pounds. Now as far as outlets go, on this unit here, I've only got 2 AC outlets. I got some USB. I got a 20 amp Anderson power pole, so that's pretty impressive to have 20 amps on there. And it does come with this little pouch back here. This holds basically my solar connectors for connecting solar panels. I got a wall charger here and stuff like that. I'm already using another wall charger. Right now I'm actually charging this up because this unit will not hold a charge for more than 2 weeks. It's crazy. It'll drop by like 1 bar after a few days, and then a few more days drops to another bar, and then within another week it's just completely off. there's nothing. And then I plug the charger in, and it says it's like halfway full. So between the battery readout and the screen, there seems to be some sort of issue there. One of the things that is really unique is it has this key option. Basically, this is like a whole system override. You put in a key and you twist it, and nothing will operate on this. It is 100% turned off. So that could be good for long-term power storage, but I haven't found that it makes a huge difference. Maybe a couple of months for some battery storage, but for some reason these lithium iron phosphate batteries do not hold a charge for very long. Now, the kit that I bought did come with this 100-watt folding solar panel. Now, this has actually been one of the better folding solar panels that I've seen, and it was actually from Lion Energy. And you guys have heard me talk about Lion Energy before. They're UT 1300 batteries. I'll have a review coming out on that soon. I really like Lion Energy. They made this solar panel. It's got Anderson power plugs on the back here. So you can see here, it's got the Anderson power pole, and it's got these legs for adjusting the angle, which is really cool. There's no charge controller. Almost always on these folding solar panels, you see some form of charge controller on the back. And this just is a normal solar panel. You basically have two 50-watt solar panels that are connected together and has the ability to string more of them together. And with that being said, it says right here on the output, no more than 200 watts max. So you can only put two of these together. So that's kind of a letdown. So I want to go ahead and get right into the testing of this. I want to see if this is actually capable of running 1500 watts nonstop and for how long. So I'm going to let this finish charging up real quick, and then we'll throw it on the lights and see how well it runs 1500 watts continuously. Okay, we're only a minute and a half into this. Didn't quite get it all the way up to 1500 watts. And it is beeping a lot. Not sure why. We didn't overload it, I don't think. So let's go ahead and we'll stop this. And try this again, see what happens. In a minute and a half, it went from full down, lost 4 bars, only 2 bars left. Let's see what happens again. I'm going to turn these on, not all at the same time. Like that. Okay, lights are on. Okay. So not the full 1500 watts, but kind of close. It was getting up to about 1400. So we'll let that go. We'll just see how long it'll do 1400. I keep interrupting, the time lapse here, but this is making a really high pitched. I don't know if you can hear that. It just got quieter. It's coming and going. This high pitched sound. I don't know how to describe it, but it's almost ear piercing in a way. So I'm assuming this won't happen on such a high load. We'll find that out when we do a smaller load, but for right now, okay, seems like it stopped making that noise. Well, 11 minutes in, and we're getting beeping again. No idea what the beeping is because it's still running. It's got to be an overheat deal because this is running really hot. I'm putting my hand back here, and it's right on the edge of not being able to keep it there. It's that warm. It almost feels like a heater back here is how warm it is. So it's definitely got really good airflow. I don't know what to tell you. It just keeps beeping like this. I want to go ahead and stop it and reset it again. I want to cut the fan. Why would it cut the fan? There's still tons of heat in here. Okay. So let's try this again. And turn on AC power. Struggling there for a second. Okay. Running one bank of lights already. Turn on the other lights. Yeah, I don't get it. Oh, there it goes again. It's got to be an overheat deal. It's got to be. Okay, like I said, this is running really, really hot. This is probably one of the hottest I've actually felt any solar generator get while doing this test. And we didn't even get to complete the test. It will not run non-stop at 1400 watts, which is just under what this is rated to, without getting really hot, and I believe that's got to be the overheat sensor. There's lots of spots for venting here on the sides and on the front, and all of this is cool because that's where the air is coming in, but where this is coming out here in the back is quite warm, and the housing up top here is quite warm. So I've got no vents blocked or anything back here. 12 minutes, and that was resetting it twice. So I'm gonna go ahead and let this cool down for a bit. That way we don't run into any charging issues, and then I'll take it outside and we'll charge it up with solar panels. Okay, well I'm outside. We've got a perfectly clear sunny day. I've got the panels set out here pretty much perfectly perpendicular to the sun. I'm gonna adjust the angle here actually even a little more. And I've got my connector here, which plugs straight into the back of the Patriot, but there's no indication as to how much power is actually coming in. When I plug this in, it immediately says it's charging. And by the way, when I pulled this out here, it had 2 bars. And then once I plugged it in and unplugged it, it was less than 30 seconds, and now it says it's at 5 bars. So there's definitely some not clear readouts here on the screen, which is always quite annoying, but it is what it is. And then I also did set this up to where I'm connecting my MC4 adapter and putting it into my watt meter here, so I can get a full power readout. And it boots up, and then it's been turning off. Okay, so now it's working. It's weird. Either way, now it's working. So let me get this plugged in here. And we can see how much power that, okay, so now it's not working. See, it's flickering. It's flickering. Maybe it has something to do with this cable. That'd be weird. And now it's just giving me the dead screen. So I unplug it, plug it in, dead screen. Anyway, I'd not been able to get this watt meter to work. I thought it was going to work for a second. It seemed like it was going to. So in the end, can't really figure out how to make this work here with this solar panel on, and in terms of finding out how much power it's actually putting out. Okay, so now I've got my Rigid 100 solar panels from poweredportablesolar.com, and I'm going to try using the cables here to power the Patriot 1500. Okay, I heard the charging going on in there, and I'm getting 92 watts right now, which is really, really good. These panels never let me down. They're awesome panels. There've actually been multiple people who told me they've made over 100 watts in ideal conditions, which is cold weather, perfectly sunny day. That's why I really, really love them. Okay, and so I'm getting 92 watts. We know that the max solar input's 150 for this. And it says here on the back, 12 volts, 15 amps. So putting 2 of these in parallel will not exceed 15 amps. I'm gonna go ahead and connect those in parallel and see what kind of power we get. So now I've got both of these connected in parallel. I'll go ahead and plug it in to my meter. It's going to be really hard to see. It says it's making 19 volts. It's normal because it's not under load. Go ahead and plug this in. Heard the charge controller kick on. Oh dang! 189.6 watts. I know it's going to be impossible to see that, but maybe the sun will give us an angle here. You can see that 189.7. So they say it's rated to 150, but it's definitely not downgrading it to 150. It's letting in 14.43 volts at 13.15 amps. So that's within the charge parameter. These cables are definitely getting warm real quick. Yeah, just these thin cables right here are getting really warm really quick. So I'm going to undo that, and I'm going to get some beefier cables. Okay, so I got actually the cable that is meant for my Titan. Titan solar generator hasn't let me down yet, so let's see how this thicker cable goes. And now I'll plug that in. So you can see here, it says 186.2, and this cable here is not getting hot now, so that's good. But it says we're within the charge parameter of 14 volts. I know it's really hard to see, but it says 14.12 volts and 13.2 amps. So we're within the charge parameter that is listed here on the back of the unit of 12 volts and 15 amps. Notice this big sticker right here. After you've depleted the battery, you have to let it cool for 1 hour. That's a good thing to know. One of the things I wanted to know was how fast the wall charger was. So I got this plugged in, charging at 250 watts. That's pretty fast. Should charge it up in about 3 hours or less. But the solar charging isn't much slower, so that's pretty cool. Although I am a little concerned that it's letting in more than 150 watts, even though that's what it's rated to. So what I am going to do is just let this sit out here for quite a while. Because this is a black box, I'm going to keep it in the shade here, and I'm going to keep the watt meter rolling on it. And it says it's still at 187 watts. So these panels are doing awesome, and I'm just going to keep checking on it to see if it gets too warm or anything like that. Okay, it's been an hour, and we are still at about 155, 160. It says when I unplug this that this is fully charged up, but I don't believe it because otherwise no more charge would be going in it. So yeah, the screen definitely has some issues. Nothing's hot in the wiring anymore, so definitely don't want to use this thinner cable here. But I'm just going to keep letting this go for as long as I can and get it fully charged up. So I got this all charged up off the solar panels, and that was pretty cool that it actually charged up with the two panels. There was no overheating issues or anything like that. But now I want to put a lesser load on it than what I did before and just see how well it performs. So let's go ahead and crank that on. Okay, it is doing this again. It's something about when it gets down to this level, I'm guessing, because that's what it did last time. It's got to be the battery warning. I accidentally started this about 8 minutes late, so this has actually been going for about 40 minutes. Couldn't tell you exactly what that beeping is, other than it's really annoying. It definitely lets you know that there's something wrong. Turn that off. Turn it back on. Yeah, it's got to be a low battery warning is what I think it is actually, because the fan's not even blowing this time. It's not hot at all. Yeah, it's got to be low battery, but it just went from 2 to 1 bars. You'd think it would be, there it goes. That's what it is. Again, the battery meter really stinks on this thing. Well, there you guys have it. I really don't think I need to do any more. This really stands on its own as not very good. Now you may be thinking, well, hey, the 1800 is what's out right now, and so the 1500 is really a poor test to do. And to that point, everything is the exact same, except it's a slightly bigger inverter and a slightly bigger battery, and they go from PWM to MPPT charge controller. So yes, there are upgrades in that 1800 watt unit that are not in this, but the screen's the same, the plug's the same, the switch is the same, everything else is the exact same. Now, despite everything I've said, if you just absolutely have to have one of these because their marketing is absolutely amazing, you're going to be looking at close to about $2,500 for this big hunk of metal right here. Keep in mind, that is only $500 less than the Titan solar generator, which has been proven time and time again is the king of all solar generators. And so just as a quick comparison, right over here, you'll see there's a quick little comparison between those two. I would much rather save my pennies for a little bit longer and get something like the Titan rather than something like this. Now granted, with the Patriot, for that $2,500, you do get some other little tidbits, like you get the solar panel, you get some EMP protection info, you get like a 72-hour kit of food and stuff like that. Now, to be clear, I'm not knocking on 4Patriots as a company, just this system. If the system's bad, it's bad. If it's good, it's good. And this is one of those that is bad. The only thing worse than this, in my experience, has been the Duracell power source. Now, that is just a whole, shouldn't have been made, in my opinion. But I would definitely be looking at the Titan. That's the one I would spend my money on rather than on this. But I hope you found this helpful. There have been no good real reviews about this Patriot unit. I paid for this out of my own pocket. I bought this offline off of a local guy. You can find these every now and then locally. You can get them for about half the price. This still cost me more than a lot of these other solar generators. And I would much rather have spent that money on something else that's better, like the Titan. So take it for what it's worth. I really do appreciate you tuning in. As always, I'm here to give you all this information to help you. So because I'm helping you, help me. Click the like button and subscribe. Make sure you click the bell. That way you get notified of when I put up more content like this. It really helps the algorithms. It really helps the channel. And of course, it should help you because I'm bringing you this very good content. Of course, it's amazing, right? Don't forget to share this with someone who would be interested in finding out about this. So my challenge for 4Patriots would be come out with something that is much more realistically good and practical for real world scenarios, for real RVing, real power outages, real hurricanes. Give me something that is really worth mentioning, and I'll happily review it and tell people about it. Thank you so much for tuning in and staying with me all the way to the end of this video. We will catch you all next time.